The European fashion scene was left buzzing today as Jin, the eldest member of global sensation BTS, made his highly anticipated arrival in Milan for Gucci's Spring-Summer 2026 showcase. What was expected to be just another luxury runway show has transformed into a global cultural moment, with European media declaring Jin the undeniable centerpiece of Milan Fashion Week. From the moment Jin's plane landed in Italy, local outlets including Corriere della Sera and La Repubblica reported on the frenzy surrounding his arrival. Crowds of fans gathered outside the venue long before the show began, holding banners and chanting his name. Inside, industry insiders noted that the presence of one man, Seokjin, managed to overshadow even the collections themselves. Headlines in Europe screamed with astonishment. Gucci's star is here, Jin brings K-pop to Milan, and the idol who stole Fashion Week. Clad in a tailored Gucci ensemble, Jin exuded effortless charisma as he entered the venue. His look, combining classic Italian elegance with a modern twist, was instantly hailed as a highlight of the show. Fashion commentators from Vogue Italia described him as the perfect embodiment of Gucci's future vision, while others praised his ability to blend heritage with contemporary sophistication. The media reaction has been unprecedented. Analysts in Paris, London, and Berlin noted that rarely has a K-pop idol received such unanimous acclaim from the European fashion press. Many argued that Jin's attendance was not simply a celebrity appearance, but a turning point in the ongoing fusion of Asian pop culture and European luxury fashion. This is more than representation, one critic wrote. Jin is redefining the very hierarchy of global fashion influence. Beyond fashion, the spectacle of Jin in Milan has triggered widespread social media frenzy. Hashtags like Jinx Gucci SS26 and Milan Fashion Week trended across multiple European countries, with live coverage flooding platforms from X to Instagram. Fans in Italy, France, and Spain shared photos and videos, turning the streets of Milan into a digital runway for Jin's every move. For Gucci, the impact could not be greater. Analysts suggest that Jin's role as global ambassador has elevated the brand's cultural cachet far beyond traditional markets, with his influence reaching audiences that luxury houses had long struggled to capture. European commentators have gone so far as to say that Gucci did not merely host a fashion show this season, it hosted a cultural revolution led by Jin. As Milan Fashion Week continues, one fact has already been cemented: this year belongs to Jin BTS. His presence has not only surprised European media but has rewritten expectations for what a global ambassador can achieve. In the words of one Italian fashion editor, when Jin walked in, Milan stopped. This is no longer Gucci's runway, it is Jin's runway. The shockwaves from Jin's arrival in Milan did not stop at the venue doors. Within hours, international outlets across Europe, from the BBC in London to Le Monde in Paris, picked up the story, framing Jin's participation as a watershed moment for both K-pop and the fashion industry. Reporters noted that rarely has a non-Western celebrity generated such overwhelming coverage in Europe's most prestigious fashion capital. German fashion critics wrote that the buzz around Jin was comparable only to the arrival of royalty, while Spanish outlets highlighted the economic ripple effect of his attendance, predicting a measurable boost in Gucci's European sales. In France, where Fashion Week remains a symbol of cultural prestige, commentators admitted that Milan had stolen the spotlight this season solely because of Jin's presence. The frenzy extended beyond media analysis. On the streets of Milan, army from across Europe, some traveling from as far as Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, lined the barricades outside Gucci's venue. Their chants of Jin, Jin, Jin echoed through the narrow cobbled streets, creating a spectacle that drew not only fashion photographers but curious locals who quickly realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Inside the venue, the atmosphere was no less electrifying. Attendees reported that even seasoned fashion editors and VIP guests craned their necks to catch a glimpse of Jin as he entered. It was as if the show stopped for a moment, one editor confessed. Gucci's models were still walking, but all eyes were on Jin. The ripple effect was immediate, social media timelines filled with clips of his arrival rather than the runway collections, a testament to the disproportionate magnetism he carried into the room. European media analysts are now openly discussing Jin's ability to transform global perception of K-pop idols. While the fashion world has long embraced celebrity ambassadors, they argue that Jin represents something new, a fusion of artistry, authenticity, and cultural influence that transcends typical endorsements. He doesn't just wear Gucci, Vogue Italia wrote, he becomes Gucci. The question now lingering in fashion circles is whether Jin's Milan appearance will be remembered not just as a highlight of Gucci's SS26 show, but as a cultural milestone in itself. Already, insiders whisper of potential collaborations, exclusive campaigns, and even the possibility of Jin being tapped for future runway appearances. Whatever the outcome, one truth stands tall. Jin has proven that Milan Fashion Week is no longer just Europe's playground. It is now his stage. For decades, Milan Fashion Week has been defined by the dominance of European houses and the presence of Western celebrities. But this season, something historic unfolded. The spotlight shifted. Jin's arrival did not simply add another star to Gucci's roster. It redefined who holds power in global fashion. His every step, every glance, every understated gesture reminded the world that influence no longer flows in one direction. From Seoul to Milan, from army to industry leaders, the balance of cultural power has changed. What makes this moment so profound is Jin's ability to command such dominance without theatrics. He does not shout for attention, yet the cameras follow. He does not demand headlines, yet the media writes them. His magnetism lies in authenticity, in the effortless charm of a man who balances humility with global superstardom. That duality is what makes him not just Gucci's ambassador, but the ambassador of a new cultural era. As European media continues to react in awe, it becomes clear that Jin's presence at Milan Fashion Week is not a footnote in the annals of fashion history. It is a turning point. He represents the globalization of art, the breaking of old hierarchies, and the dawn of an age where Asian idols are no longer guests but leaders on the world stage. Jin did not merely walk into Milan, he transformed it. In doing so, he has set a new precedent for what it means to be a cultural icon in the 21st century. Fashion weeks may come and go, but this moment when Europe gasped, when Gucci celebrated, and when Jin became the headline of an entire industry will be remembered as the day the world finally understood. The future of global fashion now speaks with a Korean voice, and that voice belongs to Kim Seokjin. The aftershocks of Jin's Milan Fashion Week appearance are still being felt across continents. Italian newspapers described the scene as a moment where fashion bent to the will of culture, while British commentators labeled it a disruption that only a K-pop star of Jin's caliber could engineer. For many, it was the first time an artist from South Korea dominated not only the runway conversation but also the global media narrative, overtaking Hollywood names who traditionally control the headlines. Analysts argue that Jin's presence symbolizes more than celebrity spectacle. It is an instrument of cultural diplomacy. His ability to seamlessly bridge East and West illustrates the rise of South Korea's soft power. Through Jin, Korean culture was not just represented in Milan, it reigned supreme. The synergy between Gucci's Italian heritage and Jin's Korean identity created a cross-cultural dialogue that resonated from Seoul to New York, from Paris to Tokyo. On the economic front, the numbers speak volumes. Within hours of Jin's arrival, Gucci's official accounts on X and Instagram saw engagement spike by over 70%. Online searches for Gucci Milan Jin BTS trended across Europe and Asia, while resale markets in Japan and the US reported immediate price hikes for Gucci's previous collections tied to his campaigns. Fashion marketing experts are calling it the Jin effect, the rare phenomenon where a single star can influence demand across multiple continents in real time. But perhaps the most striking impact is emotional. For ARMY, Jin's appearance was more than a fashion moment. It was a symbol of resilience. After serving in the military and stepping away from the spotlight, his return to international stages has become a story of triumph against the odds. Fans worldwide flooded social media with heartfelt messages, many describing tears of pride as they watched him dominate headlines in Milan. The phrase "from soldier to superstar" trended in South Korea, encapsulating the journey that brought him from quiet duty to global dominance. European media, once skeptical of K-pop's staying power, now openly acknowledges that Jin has redrawn the lines of fame. Le Figaro in France declared, "This is no longer about cultural exchange, this is cultural transformation." Meanwhile, American outlets like the New York Times and Variety scrambled to cover the spectacle, admitting that Milan had been taken over by the BTS effect. Behind the frenzy, however, Jin remained characteristically humble. Sources inside the venue reported that he greeted Gucci staff with bows and warm handshakes, even pausing to thank photographers before taking his seat. His composure stood in stark contrast to the chaos outside, reinforcing the aura that makes him so magnetic, a superstar who wears humility as naturally as couture. As the curtains fell on Gucci's Spring-Summer 2026 collection, one truth stood above the dazzling fabrics and bold designs: Jin had become the story. Milan Fashion Week, once a celebration of Europe's finest, had turned into a testament of Korea's cultural power, embodied in one man. And now, as speculation swirls about his next appearance, whether in Paris, New York, or back on stage with BTS, one fact is undeniable: Jin BTS is no longer just attending fashion's grandest events, he is redefining them.